Hey everyone, and welcome. Have you ever wondered why your headphones seem to magically tie themselves into knots? Or why your hot coffee always gets cold, but never the other way around? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on the cosmic law that explains all of it. So, let's start with a really common question. Have you ever just looked at your room and thought, how did it get like this? It feels like it gets messy all on its own, right? Well, turns out you're not wrong. There's a real cosmic reason for all that chaos. You know the drill. You spend a whole chunk of your weekend cleaning, organizing, making everything just perfect. It looks great. But then you blink, and by the middle of the week, somehow, the mess is back. And here's the thing. This isn't about you being lazy. It's actually a fundamental law of physics doing its thing. And the name for this scientific culprit behind all our everyday messes? It's called entropy. Yeah, that's the word. And really, in the simplest terms, entropy is just a way to measure disorder, or randomness, or chaos. So the messier something is, the higher its entropy. Now here's where it gets really mind-blowing. This isn't just a suggestion, it's a core law of the universe. It's called the Second Law of Thermodynamics, and it basically says that in the grand scheme of things, total entropy, total disorder, is always on the rise. Everything, and I mean everything, is constantly moving from a state of order to disorder. To really get this, think about an egg. Inside its shell, it's this perfectly neat, ordered little system, right? The yolk is separate from the white. That's a low entropy state. But then, you crack it, you scramble it all up in a pan, all those molecules are now mixed up in a totally chaotic, messy state. The entropy has gone way, way up. Now, have you ever tried to unscramble an egg? To get it back into that perfect shell? Of course not. You can't. It's a one-way street. It's irreversible. And that simple scrambled egg tells us something huge about the entire universe. Just like you can't put that egg back together, the universe itself only flows in one direction. It's always moving from order towards disorder. It is a one-way trip to more and more chaos. So what does this mean when we zoom out, like way out? Let's think on a cosmic scale, trillions of years into the future. Even giant stars aren't immune to this. They are constantly burning through their fuel, blasting out energy and light, and in doing so, they're massively increasing the disorder of the universe. So what's the end game? Well, eventually all that energy spreads out so much that everything becomes the same temperature. The stars burn out. The ultimate fate that entropy predicts is something called heat death. It's a universe where there's no energy left to do anything. Just a cold, dark, silent, and uniformly boring place. A state of maximum entropy. Okay, I know. That sounds pretty bleak, doesn't it? A bit depressing? But before you get too worried about the end of the universe, there is a massive, incredibly important upside to all this chaos. In fact, without it, none of us would even be here. Just imagine for a second a universe without entropy. What would that look like? It would be totally static, frozen. Nothing would ever change or happen. But in our universe, this constant, relentless flow towards disorder is what gives us everything. It creates motion, it allows for change, and, this is the big one, it gives us the arrow of time. The very reason we experience time moving forward and not backward is because of entropy. So, let's bring this all the way back to your bedroom. The next time someone gives you a hard time about your messy room, you've got the perfect excuse. You can look them straight in the eye and say, you're not being lazy. You are simply conducting a very important scientific demonstration of a fundamental principle of the cosmos. You're just following the second law of thermodynamics. All right, so now that you get this incredible cosmic concept, let's get you set up with the vocabulary so you can talk about it. Here are a few key terms we've used in this explainer. First up, we've got disorder. This is that state of messiness or chaos that entropy is all about. You could say, for example, the room was in a state of total disorder. Then we have the verb scatter. This is what happens when things move from an organized state to a more random one, like how the wind scattered the leaves across the yard. Next, constantly. This word is perfect for describing the unstoppable march of entropy. The world is constantly changing. And then there's eventually, which points to that final outcome, the end result. For instance, if you keep practicing, you will eventually succeed. Or, in our case, entropy will eventually win. And finally, the big one, thermodynamics. This is the whole branch of physics that deals with heat, energy, and, of course, entropy. So now you can confidently say, entropy is a key concept in thermodynamics.
So there you have it. From a messy room all the way to the arrow of time and the fate of the universe. It really makes you think, doesn't it? What other huge cosmic laws are hiding right there in our daily lives, just waiting for us to notice them? Thanks for joining me for this one.